Welcome back. Sometimes you run into these ancient texts and they just hit you with how modern they feel. Today we're digging into one of those, a prayer that's basically a roadmap for when you feel lost, hemmed in, and just stuck. We're talking about the wisdom in Psalm 25. So, right out of the gate, what's fascinating is how this prayer starts. There's no complaining, no woe is me. It just begins with this incredibly bold statement. Before any problems even come up, the very first thing that's said is, I put my trust. Think about that. It's not a wishy-washy, I hope so. No, it's an action. It's a choice you make before you even step onto the battlefield. So yeah, that's the first step on this whole journey. It isn't about doing something, it's about thinking something. It's about consciously deciding to lean on something bigger than you are, especially in those moments when you're just terrified of failing, of being shamed. And what's causing all this fear? Well, the text calls them enemies. And we can take that literally, like actual people working against you. But I think it goes deeper, right? These enemies could be anything that's trying to take you down. It could be your own self-doubt, that creeping anxiety, a setback at work, basically anything that makes you feel cornered and crushed. Okay, and then something really cool happens. The prayer pivots. It takes this very personal, specific fear and just blows it up into a universal truth. It stops being about, please don't let me fail, and turns into this massive statement of faith. Like, hey, anyone who puts their hope here will not be put to shame. It's a game changer. So once that foundation of trust is locked in, the prayer doesn't just sit there waiting for a handout. Nope, it gets proactive. It switches gears from just trusting to actively looking for a path forward. It's like moving from a feeling to a search for actual knowledge. And this is such a key moment. Think about it. When we're in trouble, our first instinct is usually just, get me out of here, right? But this prayer does something different. It says, okay, I'm in a mess. Now teach me how to navigate it. The crisis itself becomes the lesson. It's not asking for a helicopter rescue, it's asking for a compass and a map. And the way this request is laid out is just brilliant. It's a super logical 3-step plan. Step 1, show me your ways. What are all the possible roads I could take? Step 2, teach me your paths. Okay, now that I see the roads, how do I actually walk them? What are the skills I need? And then, step 3, guide me in your truth. Give me the big picture principle, my North Star that will keep me on track no matter what. So that truth we just mentioned, it's not about memorizing rules. It's more like the fundamental operating system for your life. And that's why it's the ultimate rescue, right? Because it doesn't just patch one bug. It gives you the code to handle any problem that comes your way. All right, now the prayer gets really raw. It turns inward. The focus moves away from all the external problems and zooms in on the self. It's about facing the past head-on and taking responsibility. No more pointing fingers at enemies. It's time to own your stuff. And just look at this contrast here. It's so stark. On one side, you've got this brutally honest list of failures, no excuses. But on the other side, you have the unchanging character of the divine. Mercy, love, goodness. And that's the whole point, isn't it? The hope for forgiveness has nothing to do with how small your mistakes are. It has everything to do with how huge that mercy is. And this line. This gets right to the heart of it. The plea is basically, when you think of me, don't think of my screw-ups. Think of me through the lens of your love. And why? The reason is so simple but so deep. Because you are good. The entire appeal rests on who God is, not on who the speaker is. Okay, so we've had the trust, the plea for guidance, and the appeal for mercy. Now we get to the part we've all been waiting for, the payoff. What happens if you actually do all this? Well, the text doesn't leave us hanging. It lays out some very specific promises. And the first thing is this core principle, which is kind of counterintuitive. It says, guidance isn't for the strongest or the smartest or the most perfect people. It's for the humble. That mindset of humility, that's the key. That's what opens the door to getting instruction and being shown the right way to go. But it doesn't stop there. It gets way more specific. And these rewards, they're not just, fuzzy spiritual feelings. We're talking about practical stuff, getting the wisdom to make the right choices, prosperity, making sure your kids are set up for success, and even this idea of having a deep personal connection with God. This really grounds faith in real-life results. But, and this is maybe the most relatable part of the whole thing, right after listing all those incredible promises, the prayer yanks us right back to reality. And reality hurts. The person praying is still lonely, still suffering, still full of anguish. This proves it's not some magic wand. This is a prayer from right inside the storm, not from the other side of it. And what a perfect image for that feeling, right? A snare. It's a trap. You walk right into it, and suddenly you're caught. And the more you struggle, the tighter it gets. You can't get out on your own. This line just perfectly captures that feeling of being completely, hopelessly stuck and knowing you need someone else to get you out. So, as we get near the end, there's this one last urgent cry that boils everything down. Guard my life and rescue me. It's simple, it's direct, and notice what he says right after. For I take refuge in you. It brings us right back to where we started, that foundational act of trust. And then the very last verse throws a total curveball. I mean, for this entire time, it has been intensely personal. It's all been my problems, my pain, my enemies. And then, bam, the camera suddenly pulls way, way back. The prayer ends not with a plea for himself, but for everyone. And that final twist just leaves us hanging with this huge question. It makes you wonder, maybe real freedom isn't just about getting yourself out of trouble. Maybe the whole point of figuring out how to navigate your own mess is so that you can turn around and help everyone else with theirs. It really makes you think, right? Can any of us really be okay if all of us aren't okay?